But America first. We talked about the streets of Chicago and what's going on there, the bloodbath of American carnage over the weekend, minority communities in this crossfire, 102 people shot, 14 dead, 5 children. We talked about the 20 to 24-year-old males, 40%, I guess, unemployment or not in school. Didn't even talk about the underemployment. And then John Burka gave us a solution, America first, economic policy. And President Trump, the Supreme Court today, agreed to all these interest groups that want to just take American jobs and not have his back in rebuilding the steel industry and really helping rebuild the aluminum industry in this country. Right, all want to, all these guys that want to have the cheap labor overseas thwarted today by the Supreme Court. They won't pick it up in 232. The ability to use national security for economic security, and this is the centerpiece. This is what is underneath the Bolton book. In America First national security policy, it's not America alone, and it's not America engaged. It's really leading what Dave Ramaswamy has said over and over again: the alliance of liberty. The free people throughout the world that are standing as one to confront the Chinese Communist Party and to assist the people in China for their own freedom. And you see this on the Eurasian landmass. One of the things of John Bolton is kind of this retrograde, and I want to leave aside the falsehoods in the book, because I think that is by Secretary Pompeo and Navarro and Lighthizer. Other people who are in the room and in these rooms are coming forward to say about the falsehoods in the book and about the classified information in the book. But I have to agree with Peter Navarro in The Judge. I believe when you read this book, given the classified information in it, I think John Bolton could end up in prison. I mean, this is highly classified information. Peter Navarro laid it out on Jake Tapper yesterday, which if you haven't seen it, I want to get up and say it was a magnificent interview because Jake Tapper is up in his grill at the very beginning. But what Bolton is, in the kind of the throwback to America First national security policy, what President Trump said, hey, we have all the leverage when it comes to economic warfare, to trade, to access to the American market, access to American technology, access to American capital, access to the American SWIFT system, access to the American dollar. Remember, we're the prime reserve currency. What is the Chinese Communist Party trying to do? They're trying to get off the SWIFT system so they don't have to use the system that's really created by the West to the transfer of money, and they want to get off the dollar as the prime reserve currency. And they've got their allies, and this is why Bob Gates, that fool, and you are a fool, Bob Gates, and this is even before 5 o'clock, when you get more foolish after the sun goes over the yardarm. But before the sun goes over the yardarm, you're a moron. Okay, you sit there again this weekend. Well, China doesn't have any allies. China doesn't have any friend. Note to self, brother, you and the Bush apparatus and all this throwing money into Pakistan. Pakistan's their ally. Okay, in the One Belt One Road, and teamed up against India up there on the border. Iran is their ally. They're keeping the mullahs right on the dole. It's their loans to the mullahs, and it's the oil deal they cut with the mullahs. Okay, so they have two prominent allies. Russia looks like it's going to be their third ally. Now, I would actually argue Turkey's in the mix, although Federico Galeotto in Italy disagrees with that. That's okay. Reasonable men can disagree, but they've got an alliance. President Trump's policy is to confront them on information warfare and confront them on economic warfare, not have to send American troops and get involved in these shooting conflicts that only draw us in more and more and more. And Fred Fleitz is absolutely correct talking about that Iran situation where the president waved off the last because it was disproportionate. It could have killed 250 and, quite frankly, many more people given an unarmed drone. You want to jump in here? I see you're over there at the bit, and I've had the mic all the first hour.
On the previous point, but if you, Jack,
go ahead.
No, I just wanted to raise that because you were talking about the Bolton thing, and I don't know if all of you read Judge Lambeth's ruling, the full ruling, but it was absolutely extraordinary the things that he said in there. Defendant Bolton gambled with the national security of the United States, said that the book was fact-tracked in the fast-tracked for publication, that Bolton was wrong in his approach. He said that he rushed the account of his time behind closed doors and sent the still under review manuscript to the publisher for printing. He said the government was reasonable, and John Bolton's response wasn't reasonable to this. And then the kicker, as far as I'm concerned, in taking it upon himself to publish the book without securing final approval from the national intelligence authorities, Bolton may have indeed caused the country irreparable harm.
Irreparable harm. And if you read the book, and look, I know the books, I think all the profits will be disgorged and hopefully given to veterans groups, right? Because Ambassador Bolton, for everything else, should be ashamed of himself for doing this.